Welcome back to Make It Up Life. My name's Amber,
And I'm West.
and today we are going to be in the garden. And that is Toby.
Today we'll be picking up, we've already had several freezes. We've been into the low to mid 20s. So we're going to be picking up and disconnecting all of the irrigation and putting stuff up for the season. And you will be able to see one last look of how everything looks after some hard freezes.
Yep, it's the day to shut down the garden. There are still things going, but really just,
Nothing's producing, everything is just winding down. Even what's growing is growing slower. And
yeah.
it's just the end of the season here in our part of the country.
There's some okra pods still in the plants. Well, we'll show it to you as we go. So
Sit down and enjoy.
So the first, or the main thing that we're doing is taking the timers off because they don't do well in the cold and they will crack. What we've done so far with the freezes is we turned off the water, but we have the cycles still going on these, so the water's being let out, so there's no pressure in the lines. But we want to protect these timers from the cold and all the valves and connections because those will crack or can crack in the cold. So it's pretty straightforward. We have, what, 4?
Yes.
They're probably the biggest investment in a drip irrigation system is the timers you put in. So it's wise to protect them. We also take the batteries out over the winter, so the option or the opportunity for corroding isn't as high. But it's a chilly fall day today, which is nice because earlier this week we were in the 80s. It was ridiculous.
We actually had 90. And on the same day we were 90, we started off the morning at 34. We've been down to about 24 or 25. We've had hard freezes that have lasted 8 to 12 hours. So everything that was susceptible to freeze has probably frozen by now.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous being in the 90s in November, but it's nice to feel the fall weather today. And today when I was out doing errands, you can definitely see a lot of leaves turning. The fall color's definitely here in the trees. So that was pleasant.
Gonna require pliers.
Is it too tight?
You can, if you want to roll up this other one, I'm gonna go get some pliers.
What am I rolling up? Oh, okay. So when we put in the irrigation, we have a line that just lays, you can see it, a very, very skinny spaghetti line of irrigation that lays over the entire lawn all the way out to the roses because I wanted them to be living and we didn't have the money to be trenching and putting in full underground irrigation. So this was our workaround. But let's see, that tan line is the irrigation line. So this is sage, thyme, and then the wild roses that the house came with. So it just comes out here and wraps around it. The main thing is, if you're getting ready to mow, you just have to pull it up. But it's, yes, some people might consider it an eyesore, but it's worked for us. And I have living plants on the opposite side of my yard, so that's good.
This is something that we have to pick up every time we mow anyway.
Yeah, I was just explaining to him. Some people might consider it an eyesore, but it was cheaper than full-blown irrigation under the ground. And maybe one day we'll have the money to do proper irrigation, but until then we can still have live and living plants, right?
Right, this is just what worked for us for now.
That's one of the other things that we do in the winter is we open our water barrel so water doesn't sit in it and freeze. And this year we did find that there was actually a crack in the bottom of our water barrel. It's around where the spigot is, but West repaired it with Flex Seal. So assuming that we keep it empty and it's not getting freezing water in it, it should be fine.
It's all drained out.
Very empty.
It was leaked out. We got to go get another pair of bigger pair of pliers.
Here's the okra, and there are still 2 or 3 pods up top drying out. And even just a couple days ago, Wes brought in a pod to be seeded and split for us. So we earlier we used to have our main water coming in at this bucket, or at this bucket right here, and in the attempts to encourage the plants to die off and give us seeds, we took the water off of them, and our option was just moving our connection down over here. So then the strawberries and all the other things can still get water that we wanted to continue watering. But we were able to cut out all of these pots just by simply moving our intake down a little bit. That's the beauty of drip irrigation, is it is flexible and adjustable, and you can change things. Yeah. Our strawberry plants are showing the weather. You can see their colors are changing some. I think they're pretty when they start getting their reds and yellows in them. And then this particular bucket, I haven't been out here for quite a while. It's very sad and very crumbly, which makes you think the water got knocked out of this one. And we'll find out that out in a second. And I have no idea what these big old things are. Some sort of weed just came up and got big. But they're not something I planted. And you can see all of this is brown, and this is all seeds for this basil. And that explains it, why this, he's like, this went brown really fast. And it's because something happened to the water. And our mint is still hanging on, but it's getting drier and scragglier and not as lush. Our tomatoes, you can see there's green tomatoes in here, but they have been gone through lots of freezing, so they're not really good for anything. I did salvage some green tomatoes and gave them to my mother-in-law because she can cook with them. So crispy. Our pepper plants, they're still, that's the thing with the garden, it'll try to produce until it can't, until it gets killed. And it's still trying to produce. Our cherry tomatoes look very viney and straggly now. Same thing over here. But here you go. Fruit already still going on it. Cherry tomatoes will probably still be edible and be good. This pepper plant seems to not have been affected hardly at all. It's still quite happy. There are some damages to some of the outer leaves, but it's overall doing very well. The green bean plants definitely died back. These are our potato pots that are empty. They pulled them out. And here is my first year growing horseradish, turmeric, and ginger. And I looked it up, and they say you harvest the roots once all of the leaves die back, and they've gone through freezes. So they're in the process of dying back, and once that's complete, then I'll dig up the roots for the winter. And I can either harvest those and actually use them in cooking, or just have them set aside for replanting next year. So here, our catmint is looking fine. It's a little bit lower, a little less lush than usual, but it's fine. The asparagus is starting to turn yellow, and the zinnias are all really showing effects from the cold. And let's see. That Basil is looking a bit droopy. Yeah, everything's looking just droopy, shriveled, and cold. Except for the top of the chives looks really good. The bottom looks a little bit not worse for the wear. Rosemary looks perfectly fine. That's the rosemary there. And even until the very end, we got some geraniums blooming, which is beautiful. And once we get these timers off, we're going to go around the front and you can see an update on how the front pots did. We're very pleased with them and like how they turned out and look forward to doing some more pots next year. You finally get it.
No.
These are some issues you might run into at the end of the season, is things might be corroded or stuck. I don't think we've ever had this much trouble with getting one of these off. But that's the end of the season, you find these things, and the beginning of the season, when you turn everything on, you look for leaks and you find out where things have been cracked and didn't survive the seasons very well. So it's always good to look for drips in the beginning when you set up your garden. I don't know if you can see that. All the white on there is corrosion and hard water buildup, and it really cemented the two pieces together really well.
Yep. We do start over with new batteries every year, but we take them out of the timers so the timers don't get battery corrosion. We will have to determine if this one, if we want to mess with all the corrosion and stuff next year, if we end up replacing this one. Ready to move to the other one?
Yeah.
So let's unscrew this hose first.
We used to take off the ends of the lines, but I don't know that.
With all the drippers in it, it's not really necessary.
Yeah, we've found that it's not horribly necessary to take off the ends to let the whole thing drain, because things drain out from the drippers. And it's not under pressure. If it was full of water and under pressure when it was freezes, that's when the danger of cracking and having problems is. So much easier.
This is our original old style timer that they'd all be the same, but as we replace them, we just have to get what's available. So our timers, we generally set up every year when we set them up. Depending on what they're watering, will determine how long we water them and how often. The above ground stuff in the buckets, we have drain holes in them, so the moisture doesn't stay in them for more than a day, so they get a full watering every night. The in-ground stuff, it's just because it's in ground, it keeps the moisture better. It doesn't have to water quite as much as the above ground stuff. So it's just, you have to play it by ear and see how much they need and see what you're doing. With the buckets, we had them all on one line, so it was a little more complicated than that. We had to see what needed the most and how long, and we watered by that. Just knowing that the other things, if they got a little too much, it all just drained out our drain holes underneath.
Come look at this, honey. stew. It's a very healthy weed. There's another one behind it.
Wouldn't be this mature, would it? Does it have a smell?
I was just thinking. I think it's a... That's really weird.
What's it smell like?
Like cilantro.
Hmm.
But the shape of the plant is like crazy different from the other
Like
ones.
a tree?
Yeah.
There's that.
That one is cilantro. I know for a fact this one's cilantro. So, we just got some monster cilantro plants in the middle of all this. But the leaves look like cilantro and it smells like cilantro, so it wasn't a weed. Everybody has their own preference on how to put their gardens to bed. What we typically do is just let the foliage and let the plant itself stay there. And then we actually do our garden cleanup in spring. I've always been told that it's more beneficial for the soil and for insects and life around it to have the old dead stuff there. I might go through and pick up all the fruit that didn't come to
Didn't mature?
didn't mature, because I don't really want rotting stuff out here. If it's just leaves and vines, then that's not a big deal.
Well,
But
you'll see later on when we do it next spring that part of our deal, and you can look back at our previous videos, part of restarting is cleaning up all the buckets, and it'll probably be getting a little dirt out. We add some fresh dirt and fertilizer and just more nutrients to it, which allows everything to continue to grow well.
yeah. So let's go look and get an update on the front garden. Here are the pots, completely overgrown with our green onions. Looking quite happy. This one. But you can see they thrived and did well, and we're very pleased with how these pots turned out, and we're excited to add more pots next year as finances and time allows. These ones I may clean up a little bit as the dying stuff because it's in front of our house and it's not, producing food. So if the soil isn't as protected as the ones in the back, it's not going to be as big of a deal. But there is a dripper that we're going to take out over here.
So, if you notice these are just household onions you eat, and they started growing, so Amber put them in these pots, and they make some pretty plants, and when they grow the flowers, it's kind of cool looking.
They're big and round and covered in seeds. I didn't realize that lantana got little berries on them,
Cool.
but I haven't been up close and personal with lantana for ever. It's always been a roadside thing I saw in Phoenix. But these were a combination of lantana, flax, I believe salvia were the main plants that were put in here, and they did wonderful. Lots of color, lots of growth. But as we've said, our dream is to line the whole front of the house with those pots, but it's as the budget allows.
Little at a time. I mean, each year we make a little progress, and we never know what each year is going to hold. So next year we may not be able to do anything. We may be able to do everything. Just have to wait till next year and see.
Yep. So thank you for joining us as we've shut down our garden for the winter, and we look forward to more gardening content next year. Until next time, feel free to like and subscribe.
See you later.
Bye!